morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another round of Le Mans Ultimate here with Lightning Speed Racing, and this time it is our GT exclusive round, the 45 minutes of Out of Bahrain GT Challenge. So this is a first for us here at Lightning Speed Racing. We are taking on Outer Bahrain. So we're taking the layout that was used in the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix. A very short track, mind you, so it's not a very big track. Formula 1 lap times were under a minute. So, you know, this track is very quick. You'll see a lot of good laps here, a lot of high speed moments. We have 10 cars currently on track, but this is a GT3 exclusive round. So that's pretty much how this is going to go for today. My name is Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus. I'll be your host and commentator today through the 45 minutes of Out of Bahrain. It's going to be a quick race, but it should be a fun race because Out of Bahrain is a pretty high speed track, honestly, so really looking forward to it. So we're just going to go and take a look at some official statistics here. It is still considered an FIA Grade 1, and also it's got 11 corners here. It is still 3.3 miles around, 5.4 kilometers in length with 11 corners, so it should be a lot of fun. A lot of good overtaking because you have a massive straight down from turn 11 all the way to turn 1. And I mean, you have a lot of high speed sectors that are part of the regular Bahrain track, but even more so here in this challenge with the outer circuit. So overall, you have 11 corners, but you have a lot of fast sections. So sector 1, pretty much you have turn 1, which is pretty sharp, turn 2, which is pretty sharp as well. And then you go from turn 3 to 4, that's a good long straight. And then you have a bit of an S section from turns 5 to 9. And then from 9 to 10, straight. So you're going to be going full throttle for probably a pretty good portion of this track, I would say. So, and once again, just as a reminder, as you see, Adrian Kabinski going ahead and going into a bit of the runoff there. This is not the full regular Bahrain layout. This is the shortest layout possibly available to us. So that's pretty much how it is right now. We'll see how this race does go. It is it's a pretty small race right now, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think this could be pretty hectic if we had both categories, but having specifically the GT3s right here will be fun. And we'll be doing the same thing next week here with the hypercars. So we'll be doing it next week for the hypercars. And I believe it's around the same layout. Let me just double check. Okay, so actually, correction. Last week, last week we did Out of Bahrain for the hypercars. This week, it is the GT3's turn. So, only 2 more rounds left. After this race, we go to the 60 minutes of Sao Paulo and then an hour 45 of Sebring. So that is on October 11th and October 18th. So this is the second of the individual events. It is still qualifying here, so it is still pretty early days, or pretty early times here. So right now we have the current championship leader of Jonas Bergqvist, winner of the 2.4 of Le Mans. He was absent the last multi-class round, so he is back here ready to take on the Bahrain GT Challenge. So we'll just see how this one pays out for him. He's got a pretty good lead in the championship. Other cars currently on track here at the moment. We have Nico Perez, and then we have Adrian Kabinski, Chris Kyle, Bobby Sidhu, and Jesse Verwer, currently the drivers on track who have set times. We also have Michael Butilar, Gregory Cazares, Jerome Lenorand, and Antoine Ponset, 2 drivers making guest appearances in this GT challenge. They normally compete exclusively in the hypercar category, but they decided to jump on in for this GT round here around Bahrain. So once again, last minute of quali left to go. It looks like we'll have quite a few drivers not setting times. So we'll just see. It's gonna be a quick race today, so it's gonna be a relatively shorter stream. I believe our F1 divisions do run shortly after this today, so be sure to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, turn on post notifications so you'll never miss a live stream here, and or you'll never miss a F1 race if that is what you prefer. We do have quite a few different series here, so our two main ones are Le Mans Ultimate and the Formula 1. We have 3 groups of Formula 1, and I would have to double check which group because I always do tend to forget what groups run for F1 and 1, but actually I'll do that check right about now. Actually, as we're going to go ahead and just do the last minute. Actually, correction, there's now 4 groups of qualifying, so 4 groups of the F1. So I'm gonna just take a look and see who it is as we wrap up qualifying here. Jonas Bergqvist is 3 tenths ahead. He will get pole position. So that is pole position for him today. And it looks like there might not actually be any F1 races here today. So we do apologize for that. I'll get a look at the calendar and see when our F1 divisions run, but regardless, I do agree with Bartley here saying good luck to all GT3 drivers because this is the only GT3 only event, and I kind of wouldn't mind seeing more of them across the season, maybe next season with season 4 of Le Mans Ultimate. So it'll be an interesting season because the ELMS stuff is coming out. I think it actually might already be out. I'd have to double check. I was actually a bit later to qualifying initially today because Steam didn't update the game, so I had a 21 gigabyte update I had to do right beforehand. But we're all here, and just a tip for any broadcasters, a lesson I figured I would have learned by now, but I guess I didn't. If you're gonna commentate for a race,
drivers go to the grid for a race start.
Actually, this goes for anybody, even if you want to compete in the league. So if you do want to join LSR and do some races for either Formula 1, we're on F1 25, or Le Mans Ultimate, then just go ahead and drop a message in chat and I will work to get you a Discord link. But make sure your game is updated beforehand. That does happen from time to time if you oops, I actually kicked something under my table. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get ready for racing here today. First pack, yeah, so it's LMP3 and Silverstone. That's what I thought. I thought that stuff already came out. So yeah, just make sure your game's updated before you do a league race. If you've been doing really good in a league, you could lose a championship because you forgot to update your game. I have actually missed entire races that I was really looking forward to commentating because I forgot to update my game. So just be sure to update your games when you can. These fantastic drivers wouldn't be here if they forgot to update their game, so just make sure, just a little tip for anyone who is wanting to get into sim racing or any form of esports for that matter. But we're going to go ahead and get racing here very, very shortly. We have 10 GT3 cars all ready to duke it out. Going to go ahead and fight it out on track here for 45 minutes. And we're about to go ahead and get the formation lap going, and then it is going to be green. We're going to be going green here very, very shortly. So I do realize that the
formation lap has started.
Okay, there we go. It finally settled down. But anyways, as we're going to go ahead and get going, how is the ELMS pack for LMP3 and Silverstone? How do you enjoy it? Because honestly, I do like Silverstone. It's not a track I'm good at, but who knows? Maybe we'll see it next season. We'll just have to see. But anyways, we're about to go ahead and get going here for 45 minutes around Bahrain. The cars are ready. They're going to go ahead and make their way through the final corner before we go ahead and get racing here for round 7 of the championship, the GT exclusive round. And we're going to go ahead and get going here very, very shortly. He's just making his way through turn 11, the final corner on both this version and the regular Formula 1 layout of the circuit. We started this series in Bahrain back in season 1. It was the first race on the calendar with only hypercars. And now we're about to see what the first GT3 only race is going to go ahead and do here. And for the first time in the Lightning Speed Racing history, it is all the GT3s are underway for 45 minutes. And we're already seeing cars going about 4 wide here, duking it out for position. Who is going to come out on top? It's going to be a tricky one. And, oh, I think we see somebody going off. That's the McLaren, maybe? Yeah, that might be Butalar, which, if I mispronounced that, I do apologize. But, a bit of a wide moment here. This track is very wide, so you do get a lot of real estate to really get some good moves in through here. So, it's always very awesome to see. We're seeing Nico Perez and Chris Kyle going ahead and duking it out now, fighting for every single position humanly possible. So we're going to just go ahead and try to see if we can go ahead and get some really good battles going on here. Jesse Verwer in that BMW. Oh, look at that. That's a deep move there from Adrian Kabinski in the Mustang going. Actually, no, is that Ponset, actually? No, Ponset's in the Porsche. I think it was, no, it must have been Sidhu. Must have been Bobby Sidhu going wide in that Mustang. So he did go a bit wide there. Now we're into the tricky technical sector. Actually, no, we're already through with the lap. I forgot how fast this track actually is. So we're on lap 2 now. Jonas Bergqvist is in the lead of the race. He's got a pretty comfortable lead there. So we're seeing a lot of these drivers going ahead and fighting it out. We're just going to see how these drivers go ahead and navigate through the sections. This is a very tight track, so we'll just have to... I mean, it's tight in some sectors, but for the most part, it's a pretty wide track, so... We'll see if Chris Kyle here can go ahead and get a run onto... Oh, looks like Antoine Ponset was thinking about getting a run there. On to Jesse Verwer. Now, I don't think I've ever actually seen Ponset drive a GT3 car. I'm so used to seeing him in the hypercars. He's one of our hypercar drivers here, and it's a little bit of contact between a Ponset and Verwer. Just a tad touch there. So now it is going to be Verwer on to Chris Kyle. That is going to be the next battle here. So we're going to ride on board now with the WRT number 46 as he goes in and tries. He's going to cut the inside, and that's a move there. That's a move from the McLaren of Chris Kyle. Chris Kyle trying to go ahead and make the move stick, but he's still... Actually, this is Antoine Ponset having Jesse Verwer for company here. And I mean, look at this. Chris Kyle's got a very good line of sight for these cars. So he's going to go ahead and try. Antoine Ponset trying to take a dive up the inside. Now you'll see turn 1 is one of the most common dive sectors on the course. So, and I mean, this is actually a pretty good view too, as we see Antoine Ponset and the Manti Racing Porsche trying to go ahead and try to make moves happen here. The hypercar driver doing a pretty solid job of things as it is right now. Maybe we might see him switch to GT3 next season. We will just have to see. It is, I mean, it's always fun seeing car drivers who go from one discipline to another. It's always really fun to watch. So we're seeing right now a very strong battle as Ponset is trying to go ahead and try to get a move done on the Verwer now. We'll see if the Frenchman can get the move done. He's going to send a dive up the inside. The number 90 Porsche is going to make that move stick, and he's got it. And yeah, Nico Perez is up into P1, so that is a bit of a surprising twist of... Very interesting. I actually didn't even notice that until just now. I was watching that battle. We'll see if Jonas Bergqvist... Oh, contact between the two! Bergqvist and Perez. Bit of contact there going into turn 1. And now we're going to see how they're going to hold it through turn 2. The two cars, the two race leaders side by side. Going through. Nico Perez has a better run on the exit of turn number 3. And he's going to go ahead and just continue on. We see the battle in the background. So 2 battles happening to go. Once, and Verwer is going to go in and dive it up in the inside. He'll take that position 4 now. But I feel like as soon as we turn away, we're going to see Bergqvist go ahead and get a move done. He's already on the inside. Trying to put pressure on the Nico Perez. Oh, they're going to go through the twisty. They're in the technical part of the circuit now. They're going to make the run into turn 6 and then go through 7 and 8. Actually, I think they've already finished that part. Yeah, they're on their way down to turn number 10 now. This track doesn't feel like it's 3.3 miles, but it is. And the reason why it doesn't feel like it's about 3.3 miles is because most of it is pretty much just full speed for the most part. Jonas Bergqvist back into the lead of this race. Perez has fallen a bit behind. So, as we just kind of take a look at the intervals to see, the timing table is having a bit of an issue. I do apologize for that here, ladies and gentlemen. Might be something up with the new updates. I know previous updates haven't been super keen with overlays, but yeah, it's actually really interesting. I've never seen the overlays actually have that kind of issue, so yeah, it's a bit of a new one, but regardless, we still have good racing on track, so that is what we'll go ahead and focus on. So actually, let me try to refresh the overlays here. So actually, it is the overlay system itself having an issue. Yeah, honestly, arguably really only 8 corners, because you take a lot of the pretty much flat out there, Bartley, so you are correct on that front. Timing table is having a bit of a heyday, as we are seeing here, so we'll actually just spectate what tires everybody is on for the time being. Everybody is running on the medium compounded tire, so I mean, I don't think anyone's really going to make a pit stop in this race. I think it's all pretty much just going to be just go full force until the end. As you see, Chris Kahn now trying to close in on Jesse Verwer, who himself is trying to close in on Antoine Poncet. So, interestingly enough, this has been it's been a pretty impactful race. So, it's a bug from the last update. You know what? That makes sense. Good to know. Anyways, another thing too that they kind of bugged out with the, we'll get back to that moment. Perez on the inside, trying to get a move done. On to number 27 of Jonas Bergqvist. Not enough this time. Not enough to go ahead and make the move. But, just in the realm of games and software, it happens. You change one thing and it can break pretty much everything. So, it does happen from time to time. But anyways, we do have a very fun 3-way battle for P1 at the moment. It is Jonas Bergqvist, Nico Perez, and Antoine Poncet, who we weren't even exactly expecting to show up in the GT3 race. So, and yeah, we're seeing a bold prediction of Antoine Poncet will win. He is a championship leader in the GT3 class, so that wouldn't really be too much out of the question. He's already gone past Nico Perez in a very beautiful move there. So, he's doing good there. And just taking a look at the Hypercar Championship, Antoine Poncet does lead overall. So, and Cadillac, actually last round, Cadillac has officially won the championship. And funny enough, next week, Poncet could win the driver's title if he finishes P6 or higher. So, Poncet is in a good spot to win the championship here. Not in this race, obviously. This race will count towards points in his GT3 standings, which this will be his only entry, so he's not going to, even if he does win today's race, he's not going to be in any kind of title contention for GT3, but Cadillac has dominated in the hypercar category. They pretty much clinched it last time out. So, a very dominant drive from Cadillac here this season, but taking a look at the GT3 standings, it's not as clear cut. Because right now in the GT3s, as actually Antoine Poncet's already just moved up into the lead as we were checking through stats, Nico Perez and his Lexus team, Lexus is in P1 by quite a while, so I mean there's a chance they might be able to close it up a bit, might almost be able to clinch it, but, and even at Nico Perez is second in the championship, so yeah, that's right, you are P2 in the championship. So, I mean, I was honestly not expecting Cadillac to dominate, and I know I did miss a good chunk of the season due to work, but it's always fun coming back here to LSR and just watching these drivers give it their all here. So, Jonas Bergqvist is still, she's actually trailing for once, which isn't super common. I mean, Ponset is a good ways ahead. Not, you know, off into the sunset. He's not already thinking about driving to Sao Paulo from here, but he is in a pretty good lead right now. But you do get a massive slipstream down the straight. But another thing is too is that Ponset, he drove this track last week because of the Hypercar Challenge. So he does have experience around this circuit, and this will be his second race doing it. So good on Ponset for jumping in. And honestly, he could, if he wins the Hypercar Championship, he might just give GT3s a go and try to win the GT3 Championship next. And then I think he'll pretty much have done pretty much everything there is to do in the Le Mans Ultimate Series, unless we bring in LMP2s next season, or even create a LMP3 sub-series to race, so we can have races on the Silverstone circuit. So Bradley, here's the question though. Would you like to see a hypercar race, if possible? Because once again, I actually still have to check out a lot of this update. But if we could, would you like to see a hypercar race for the next season or well, actually, in general, would you like to see a race at Silverstone this coming season? Because I think I've done multi-class races around Silverstone with GTPs, and it is a fun time, honestly. So, well, GTP / hypercars, whatever you like to call them. I think it was GTPs at the time because it was IMSA spec cars I was commentating over, but it would be interesting to see how these drivers go ahead and just how they would do in Silverstone, because Silverstone is a tough track. It's not an easy track. It's pretty technical, especially going through the chicanes. Silverstone is probably one of my, it falls into a really painful category for me. Tracks that I love driving on, but I'm just not good at. And I'm sure there's a lot of drivers here who have that one track they just really like, but they're just not good at. So, yeah, right now we're watching on board with, this is Michael Butelaar. He is currently in P7, trying to chase down his fellow United Autosports McLaren driver, as there is a bit of a yellow flag. We'll try to see, that might be Gabinski? Yes, that is Gabinski. Gabinski's off the road. So not a great race for him so far, as he actually goes ahead and gets lapped. No, he gets passed by Adrian. Not a lapped car. We're about 15 or close to 15 minutes into this race, as these drivers are still continuing to go on. And Jonas hasn't allowed Antoine to really just start kind of running off into the sunset. So Ponset is still doing a very good job. However, Jonas isn't going to make it easy for him. And wouldn't this be interesting if we saw these two compete on a regular season basis? Because Jonas has been pretty much dominating in the GT3 category. I mean, just taking a look at the standings here for the GT3s, I mean, he's in a pretty good spot. He's got 102 points to Nico Perez's 84. So, I mean, there is a good chance that he could clinch this also in Sao Paulo. So he's got a pretty good run of things. Although I think this one might go to the end of the season, just considering that Jonas isn't, he's not in the lead right now, and he would be outscoring Nico Perez, but not by a ton. The Porsche sounds amazing on board. I agree, it does sound, it is a very nice sounding car, I will say. So what we'll actually go ahead and do for a bit is we're going to just give the fans what they want. Give them a good onboard view of the Porsche as it navigates its way through this outer Bahrain circuit. It is probably one of the best, if not the best sounding GT3 car on the field today. I mean, there are some pretty tough contenders for those, but there is some really, really nice sounding cars here in the GT3 field. So we're going to go back to regular picture here, and this battle is still brewing between these drivers. So we do have a battle just directly behind them, though, as Jesse Verwer and Nico Perez, and also Jerome Lenormand, another hypercar driver jumping into GT3s this week. He is in the yellow Proton Mustang. So we'll see if he can go ahead and make an impact here. Actually, when I was looking at the session, I don't think there's actually tire or fuel usage in this, so I think this is just a straight up battle of race pace here. So straight up battle for race pace. This battle is going good. What about this one? Jerome Lederer trying to fire up the inside, trying to get a pass. We'll give him a free special, and there's contact between Nico Perez and Jesse Verwer. Jerome gets one. He gets spun around too. Jerome Lederer getting spun around there. Getting tapped by Jesse Verwer there. And he was trying to get 2 into 1. Ended up losing 2 positions while trying to gain 2 positions. So unfortunately for him, that just did not work. And this is a full-on sprint race here. Because I actually had to double confirm, because I saw when I was joining the lobby, but with some of the other issues, other telemetry based issues, it's kind of tricky to tell for sure. But a double thank you to Bradley Kennedy for the confirmation in YouTube chat that this is pretty much just a full-on sprint. So a full-on sprint, you don't have to worry about tires, you don't have to worry about fuel, you just got to worry about just pure solid race pace. As Jonas Bergqvist is trying to catch up to Ponset. And it's a different type of driving style too, because you'll see some drivers are really good when it comes to managing their resources, like their fuel, their tire wear. They're just really good at managing things. And they kind of tune their whole driving style around to just managing everything. So in a race where management isn't a key, some drivers should just end up being better at just full-on, flat-out pushing just compared to just trying to manage everything. So, and also, especially with these endurance races, you really got to manage pretty much everything super nicely. You got to be gentle on your fuel, gentle on your tires, because you got to make strategic calls in your stints to really make things work. I know the Petit Le Mans iRacing event is going on right now. And I mean, I think that's like what, an 8-hour race, I think? Maybe a 9-hour race? One of those two, but still, it's a long race, and management is just such a key factor in those. Here's another question I want to ask George Chat as we still continue to watch Bergqvist and Ponset battle it out. And actually, we might see some other cars battling out on circuit as well. Actually, here we go. We got a 3-way battle here. The 2 McLarens, Chris Kyle, Michael Butelaar, and then Jerome Lederer. But as a special event, if we can get the people that would want to commit the time to it, and we would need a ton of broadcasters, but would you guys like to see a multi-class 24-hour race here at Lightning Speed Racing? It would be tricky to get people to commit to it, because I know a 24-hour race is a massive commitment, but it could be fun. I think it really could be fun, but once again, it would take a lot of commitment. Quite a few LSR drivers are doing the 6 hours of Fuji this weekend. You see? I mean, honestly, I will pretty much, I know this is kind of a hot take, but I will always prefer Fuji over Suzuka. To me, Fuji is just a better track, more overtaking opportunities, and overall it's just a better experience. So that's just my hot take. But yeah, the 6 hours of Fuji does sound really fun. I did get to commentate for a stint of a 24-hour race, so that was actually a lot of fun. But yeah, it is a commitment, but it can be really fun, especially with driver swaps coming to the game. And we have a tight battle here for the lead. Ponset and for Bergqvist going ahead and just fighting it out for the lead. The championship leader in GT3 versus the championship leader in Hypercar. This is a battle for the ages as we are 20 minutes in already, just about. Which, man, it's weird how fast time flies when you have these intense races going on. So we're going to ride on board with Bergqvist here for a bit as he continues to chase down the Hypercar championship leader and soon-to-be champion. So we'll see if Antoine Ponset can seal the deal next week in Sao Paulo. He's just got to finish 6th or better. So we'll just see how he goes. We're just going to take a quick step aside and allow you guys to enjoy the sounds of this battle. We'll be right back here. Don't go anywhere. Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed the sounds of this battle happening here. We're just going to do a quick run through of the field just to kind of see where everybody is at right now. Antoine Ponce and Jonas Bergqvist battling it out now for P1 and P2 like they have pretty much all session long. And for those of you who may be just joining in, the reason why we don't have the timing table out right now is because there is a bug with the timing table, which, well, we'll demonstrate it here. We'll just show you like how the timing table likes to have a bit of a issue, but yeah, you can see it's kind of going a bit haywire there. Nico Perez and Jesse Verwer still battling it out now for position, and they're going to go ahead and give it their all. And we'll see if these two can really battle out now as they go deep into turn number one. We'll see if they can go ahead and just get everything all situated and ready to go. And then we're going to go ahead and jump down. Oh, wait a minute. We might see a move here between Jesse Verwer and Nico Perez. Not quite. We'll jump back to this battle here shortly. But then we have Jerome Lenormand not too far behind in the Mustang, having a bit of a recovery drop there. And then it is Chris Kyle in the McLaren. Michael Buttilar in the McLaren as well. And then we have Bobby Sidhu, Adrian Gabinski, and Gregory Cazares in P10 out of our 10 drivers here today. So some pretty solid battles here up and down the track, and now we have this really tight battle here between Nico Perez going on a bit of a defensive line, trying to come back in, trying to break the toe, break the slipstream, and Nico Perez is still in P3 at the moment. Jesse Verwer still right behind him, and he's going to go ahead and try. He's going to go ahead and try to make a move. Jesse Verwer in a good spot now. Can he make this pass happen? Is it going to happen? Is the BMW going to get it done here? He could. He's going to chuck it up the inside. That move is not as easy as you like it. Nico Perez, good defensive positioning. Now, I know for a fact that you can seriously defend on this track, especially through turns 1 through 3. It's a good spot to attempt to move. It's harder to actually make the move stick, because you can really just fight it out on those first 3 corners, as I've learned from my time racing on this track in a little bit in this game, but mostly in Formula 1. And in my time as a commentator, I've seen quite a few drivers go ahead and just really work with that and just try to keep their line smooth, and because you can attack really well and defend really well. As Jesse Verwer is now going to go and try to get the move done up the inside. This time it's successful, but is there a switchback? No, it's a bit of a check up there. And he's lost 2 positions because of that. Little bit of a checkup, and he is going on through. Jerome Lenormand up into P4. What a move. Is he now going to try to dive up the inside of Nico Perez? He thinks about it. He shakes for it. He wants to try to put Perez on the defensive line, just not enough to really make it happen just yet. Then we're going to jump back on board with this battle, because this battle's been going pretty solid. Still a lot of hard racing action here between these two. It's still all to play for here in this race. Because, I mean, it's only 20 minutes, but this is a short track. You can just about get 20 laps out of this race still. Because, I mean, you're pretty much, it's almost, I want to say, in terms of the general style of the track, it is oval-esque. Not a full oval, but I mean, if you were to race this in pretty much, like, if you were to put this track in Gran Turismo, this would be considered a high-speed track. You'd probably run a bit of a higher speed setup because you have one little bit of technical part of this track. I mean, you would almost run a similar setup to Monza on this circuit, honestly, just because it's mostly high speed, and you have a few select corners here. So, you have a few select corners, I mean, really 2 and 3, and then you go through the high speed S's, so you really don't have a lot of corners to really fight, so. Bergqvist still trying to put pressure there. Jerome Lenormand's actually up in the 3rd, so the hypercar drivers having a fantastic time in the GT3s. So this has been a good race for the hypercar drivers. that normally compete a hypercar, but look at this. It's a battle here. These two rivals have battled that before. They're looking to do it again. Jesse Verwer, Nico Perez, Lexus versus BMW. It is going on. This is a fight. I don't know what round we're on at this point in this fight, but we are back for another round. These two, and here's the thing too, is that these two are rivals tonight, if not throughout the entire season. But look at this, they're fighting, they're giving each other a lot of respect here. Nico Perez, unfortunately, does not the inside in a bit too much, and a little bit of a love tap there between Perez and Verwer, and Jesse Verwer up in the fourth. But here's the thing too that I really want to commend for these drivers is that, yes, you have a little love tap here and there, but for the most part, these two have just been fighting hard and fighting clean as well, although Nico Perez would like to suggest otherwise, as he's now going for a massive dive of the inside and more contact between the two, between the Lexus, between the BMW. These two are still fighting. I mean, this is a battle that's not going to end any day soon. The lights are still flashing against the back of that WRT BMW. He's going to try it. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep trying. This fight is still going on. Although, you got to be frustrated if you're Perez, because Perez, he's been trying to get this move done. He's been having a good race here tonight, but he's just fallen out of the order, and now he's having a bit of a spin, bit of a snap, bit of a spin, and he's trying to recover off onto the runoff area. It's a bit tricky in that runoff area, so you're not going to really get a lot of grip going through the corner, so you're in a really tricky spot, because that part of the circuit has no kind of grip, and it's not meant to have grip. It's a very pretty bit of runoff, but, I mean, once again, that really pretty bit of runoff, I mean, it's not pretty for your tires, because you're just not going to have any grip, regardless if tire wear is enabled or not, so you're just going to get no grip, and you're going to have a tough time with things. So, about 15, a little over 15 minutes left to go. We're about 2/3 through this race already, and man, time flies when you're having fun. These drivers are certainly giving it a all. Let's check back in on the battle for the lead as Bergqvist and Ponce. Now Ponce has started to pull a pretty sizable gap. It's probably about 2 seconds of a gap now between these two. And the little brief bits where my timing tower isn't going haywire, but yeah, Bergqvist is really just kind of falling down the order now. Let's check in on some other drivers here as Chris Kyle is trying to chase down his fellow McLaren. We'll see if these drivers can get moves done. So we'll see how this is going to play out, because there's a lot of battles here. And once again, we're just going to go back from the helicopter cam to Nico Perez versus Jesse Verwer. Still a lot of battling here to go on, but it's not over yet. And I don't think it's going to be over until that timer hits all zeros and we see that checkered flag. This battle is not going to end any day soon. Perez is going to try to go deep on the brakes, but once again, Verwer has that inside line. It is not going to do him any favors. Nico Perez still behind his arch nemesis here tonight. Still flashing the lights, so I don't know if that's a setup thing on Perez, because I know you can, drivers like their keybinds, so you can map on most wheels and controllers, you can map buttons to specific things. So I'm not sure if that's just something that Nico Perez has mapped, but I feel like that's pretty intentional. That he's just not content with how Verwer is driving. Although from this view, it looks pretty respectable, but I mean, granted, you're always going to see a different thing as the driver versus the broadcaster commentator on the opposite side of things, getting this from an outside view. But it looks like it is pretty clean racing here from these drivers. A bit dicey at moments, but I think so far these drivers have been pretty solid. And Perez is still flashing lights. That might, I know in some series that actually could be a penalty for obsessive flashing. Like if you just needlessly flash the lights. Yeah, so he is not happy, and he's going to get the dive on the inside before it turns in on him. Nico Perez was ahead of the apex, and that's as clean as you'd like it. Nico Perez back in the fourth where he feels he needs to be, and now he's got to chase after Lenorand here. And just taking a look at our race leader, I mean, Ponset, I mean, he is... There's a chance he might jump into GT3 next year because he is certainly having a ball around here and out of Bahrain. Just having an absolute blast around the circuit. And to be fair, it is a fun track. I do enjoy driving around this track. I mean, even on a regular, like, scuff racing Xbox controller, like the Red Bull controller, it is still a really fun track to drive. I just like this. I like this layout of Bahrain, honestly. It's fun, it's fast, and you actually can get some pretty good racing out of it. So, I mean, look at this. We're seeing this battle yet again from Verwer and Perez. These two are still just duking it out. And I mean, honestly, I mean, you couldn't get much closer than this. You could not get much closer than this. 100%. I mean, this is the kind of thing you want to see. Racing and they're side by side again. Side by side, fighting it out, trying to get any kind of position. But it just hasn't been enough so far. It's just not been enough to really hold off a position for really one or the other. They've both just been trading positions like Pokemon cards back and forth. Another bit of a love tap, so that's going to give Verwer the inside, but at this section, inside and outside, they switch every other second. So these cars are still good. Oh, looks like maybe even a bit more contact there from Verwer's side, I think. We'll see as we check in on board with the number 46. We'll see if he can go ahead and just fight Perez. I mean, these two are pretty much just battling tooth and nail at this point. So we'll see if this is going to be a change of position. Doesn't look like it is. I think these two are still going to just go ahead and duke it out. And now we have Verwer pressing the flasher. So there is no love lost between these men. That's for certain. We'll see who can get the move going or making a dive up the inside. And it looks like no dive is made. Too much real estate in between them. Oh, Jesse is a she, so apologies for that. It's not the common spelling for it, but my apologies still nevertheless. So, correction. She is still trying to go ahead and put pressure on Nico Perez. We'll see. She's putting a lot of effort into beating Nico Perez here. But Nico is also putting in a lot of effort into defense. And now we've seen Nico Perez battling it out on the defense. I mean, we've seen it pretty much every single season, haven't we? We know Nico Perez is mighty on the defense. But apparently so is Jesse. Jesse's been also putting in a lot of good work on that defense as well when she was in the position. And both drivers are now flashing. There's a yellow flag out as we're down to 10 minutes to go. Jesse's going to send it up the inside, but she goes deep. She's deep into the turn. And now Perez has a really good chance to start pulling away now. Not sure what that yellow flag is for. That might have been Adrian Gabinski again. So Adrian Gabinski now still a P10, not having the greatest of races in that Ferrari. Gregory is still kind of just minding his own business and a race of his own at this point. There's actually quite a few drivers that have done that at this point now. There's quite a big spread here. Although that is kind of to be expected when you get about 10 cars in for about a 45-minute enduro race. But so Jessie is definitely not going to be too happy about that. I mean, she gave it her all. She gave it her all, but sometimes your all is just not quite good enough. But I think she'll still take some pretty good solace in being P5 in this race. Some drivers who could also take some really good benefits from this is Jerome Lenorand and Antoine Ponset. This is the first time this season that they've been in these GT3 cars, and they have really taken it to the established GT3 drivers. I mean, you got Jerome Lenorand, who's in P2 or P3 at the moment, so he's in a pretty well-defined podium. He's a pretty good ways away from Bergqvist and Ponset here. He's actually catching Bergqvist bit by bit, but Ponset is just in another realm at this point, so he is just in another dimension. And honestly, I think he would be a really serious contender if he did jump over to GT3s for a bit, but I would also say the same about Bergqvist if he tried to jump into hypercars. But anyways, we'll see if any of these other drivers can really catch up and try to make a battle happen here. As We see Michael trying to put pressure on the Jesse, trying to at least close the gap to the BMW just up ahead. We'll see if Michael can make any progress onto the BMW. The BMW did have a bit of a late braking moment earlier on. So we'll see how this goes, because Michael's been pretty consistent throughout today. He's been involved in a few incidents that may be under review by the stewards, and actually, granted, I know this series doesn't do a driver of the day, not particularly, and most multi-class racing really doesn't, but if I were to give my pick for driver of the day with about 7 minutes to go, I'd give it to this guy. I would give it to the number 44 Mustang of Jerome Lenorand, because Lenorand, he got taken out pretty early on in this race. He got spun out, got caught in between the two McLarens, and just got spun around, but he still fought his way back, not only passed down, but he's in the podium spot, potentially about to challenge the GT3 leader for P2. So, I mean, the two top steps of the podium might even be drivers that aren't even in the GT3 category on a regular basis. We might see a GT3 podium where 2 out of the 3 drivers only drive hypercars here at LSR. So, I mean, that's very possible. We'll keep an eye on this, because this could be a very spicy battle here towards the end, but we'll just have to see. Jerome Lenorand still trying to go ahead and put pressure on the breakfast, who's really had to check his mirrors. He hasn't had to do that a lot this season, but... And yeah, that too, a pit lane start for Lenorand as well. I forgot about that, because he was one of the cars who didn't take qualifying. So, despite the punt, despite the pit lane starts, he's in the podium spot. I mean, unless he disconnects or wrecks with about 6 minutes to go, I mean, he's got a podium spot pretty much just guaranteed. It'll be exciting for him too, because I mean, because these drivers might just say like, hey, you know what? I might consider going in the GT3 next season to switch things up, and then the GT3 field gets shaken up for next season. Which, I have no confirmation about it, but I think we should be getting an announcement for the next season count here soon, because we got 2 rounds left to go here. We got Brazil coming up next week, and then we round out the season for the following week, which is at Sebring. So we go to Sao Paulo, we go to Brazil, then we go to Florida, and then that's pretty much the end of the season. So we should be expecting a season 4 counter here pretty soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if we'd see a few changes coming here as well, especially with the ELMS stuff coming out, maybe even the ELMS sub-series. We'll just have to see. The Mustang under the floodlights here at Bahrain is still putting pressure onto the Swedish driver just up ahead. Are we going to see it? Are we going to see the move being done here? As Lenorand is still trying to put pressure on to the Aston Martin. It's close now. The Frenchman trying to put pressure now. He's going to go for the inside. He'll shake for it, but not enough real estate. He'll try it again a bit later. He's still got a few minutes to go though. And so he's got about another probably about another 3 or 4 laps, I'd reckon. Just because this is such a short track. I'd be a bit more concerned if it was the full or endurance layouts, but I mean, right now he is doing a really exceptional job. He might get Bergqvist. I mean, Bergqvist knows that his race now is pretty much between himself and Lenorand, so we know that this battle is pretty much done and dusted for first place. Second place is still all up for grabs. So these cars are going to go in and duke it out, fighting for position. They're going down the straight, going into turn 1 off the exit of 11. Are we going to see it happen? Are we going to see the move now? Is he going to dive up the inside? We see he's still just going to focus on closing that gap. Bergqvist taking a bit of a defensive line, going on the inside first, trying to go ahead and cover the apex. Gives him a bit of a better run through turns 2 and 3. So it's a good run for him so far, but once again, it's another straight, another time for the Mustang to get a good slipstream, and we know the Mustang can be pretty powerful on the straight. Closing up to him, he might have the inside. He's gonna have to tuck back in. He's gonna use a lot of that curve though. Both drivers using a lot of that curb as they're fighting it out tooth and nail for these positions. Leonard is going to try it. He's got the inside outside. Oh, the switchback was going to have to be the key move. Contact between the two now. They're going to go ahead and make their way through. They're out of turn 8. Going down into turn 9 and then turn 10. So now they're going to go in deep on the brakes into turn 10, and Leonard's got the position, but Bergfest is fighting back. Bergfest is fighting back now. They're going through turn 11. Going to have to go ahead and hit the brakes a bit, and a little bit of a slowdown is all Leonard needed to jump up in the P2. And this fight has reached its conclusion for now. There's anything could happen in racing. Leonard could go late on the brakes a bit too deep one time like we saw with Jesse earlier on. Speaking on, we'll check on the BMW, and she's already caught back up to Nico Perez, so this battle is about to go live again. So we'll see if Jesse can conquer her rival this time. We will see, or is Nico Perez going to hold on for the final 2 minutes of this GT Challenge and out of Bahrain. Closing in the gap. Actually, I don't think Jesse is actually closing that gap up bit by bit. I think Nico Perez is just keeping it stable. It's a bit of an ebb and flow at the moment. So we'll just have to see who wins in this battle of ebbing and flowing, as Lunderand and Bergfist are still going at it again. But I think the battle between Verwer and Perez is probably going to be a bit of a trickier battle to really kind of note. So we will go ahead and see. There's another yellow flag. I can promise you that might be. That is Gabinski around, unfortunately. So it actually might be another case too that I mean, that was looking pretty on the edge for track limits. So track limits could be a bit of a concern too for Bergfist, because it is very possible that, I mean, unlike the Formula 1 games that LSR also broadcasts, you don't get a 3-second time penalty for corner cut. You get a whole drive-through penalty, so that's probably like about a 20 or 30 second ordeal at least. Speaking of 30 seconds, we have 30 seconds left on the clock now, and it's been a dominant drive from him. We're used to seeing dominant drives in hypercar for this man, but this time it is going to be in the GT3 field. He will expand his sphere of dominance. He's only got a few more corners left to go as the timer ticks down the final 15 seconds. He might get another lap in. It doesn't look like it. It's going to be 10 seconds on the clock. He actually will get a victory lap in. Coming across the line now. Antoine Poncet will go ahead and take victory here. He'll get another lap in, but Antoine Poncet will take victory here in the Bahrain GT Challenge. It is the final lap of the race though, so still battles can be won and lost here, as we go ahead and try to get a camera that is not being obscured by fancy architecture. And I mean, we're just going to ride on board now with the man for his victory lap, as Antoine Poncet has just done what he needed to do. He fought through, he took the lead, and I mean, it's all but certain that Antoine Poncet will win here in Bahrain. It is the final lap of the race. So once again, I mean, he has pretty much won this race. I mean, I don't think, unless he makes a massive mistake, there is traffic coming up ahead, so he will have to get past Gregory in the Aston Martin just up ahead, or he might not even worry about it. I'm sure he can see Brent Lindemann in his rear view, but he's pretty much just out of time, as this is the final lap of the race. He's about to come across the line. He's dominated in hypercar, and he takes the domination to GT3s. Officially now, Antoine Poncet wins the Bahrain GT Challenge, with Jerome Lindemann, another hypercar driver, jumping across, and he is going to go ahead and, oh, he actually let, well, I think he was ready to cross the line at that point, but he was attempting to let Bergfist through, I think, but they already crossed the line because the start-finish line is actually pretty far back there. So Nico Perez will beat out Jesse Verwer to round out our top 5, and then is Michael Butelaar, Chris Caio, Bobby Sidhu, Gregory Cazares, and Adrian Gabinski, who has actually retired from the race a lap down. So a few more drivers still having to cross the line. Nico Perez crossed the line. Verwich crossed the line. Butelash crossed the line. Chris Kyle's just about to cross the line now. And he will go ahead and take P7 on the night. And that is McLaren P6 and P7 here tonight. And then we have Bobby Sid, who has had the best of races here tonight. He will come up in P8. And then we're going to go ahead and just see. He's across the line now. That is P8 for the Mustang. And then Gregory will be the last car to finish the race. And he will come up in P9 for the Aston Martin. And just what a race that was. Antoine Ponce back in the pits now. So that is going to wrap things up here. So thank you guys so much for tuning on in to this short but sweet race that we've had here at Out of Bahrain. Tune in next week where we might see a Hypercar champion crowned. And that man is the same winner of tonight's race here, Antoine Ponce. Cadillac has already clinched the Constructors' Championship, and they're going to look to clinch a Drivers' Championship too to seal off a dominant season here in Season 3 of Lightning Speed Racing's Le Mans Ultimate Series. So, yep, that's pretty much going to round us out here. So, once again, just to run through our finishing positions, it is Antoine Ponce, Jerome Linderand, Jonas Bergqvist rounding out our podium, and then Nico Perez, Jesse Verwer, Michael Budelar, Chris Kyle, Bobby Sidhu, Adrian Gabinski, and last but certainly not least, actually Adrian Gabinski is last but certainly not least. So that is going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Unfortunately, I didn't get another thumbnail in time, so we are actually on round 7, so ignore this. But thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Once again, my name is Patrick Coleman, aka Rekis, and I've been your host and commentator for 45 minutes around Out of Bahrain. Unfortunately, once again, I didn't have the thumbnail, so I apologize for this. But we'll be back next week when we go ahead and take it around Interlagos in Sao Paulo.